What up, everybody? One of the biggest cliffhangers going into season 3 was if Marvin would survive after being shot at the end of season 2. But I think just about everybody expected Marvin to survive, and he did. But it's a little more complicated than that. Because instead of going to the hospital to get treated, Marvin patched up the hole in his side with paper towel and duct tape. He avoided going to the hospital to get treated because cops were everywhere questioning about what happened. Rock told the cops that she shot the intruders with her registered firearm. And her and Lulu pinned everything on Crown Camacho. But it wouldn't have been that easy for Marvin because he is a convicted felon and was at the projects where the drug operation was ran up at. But for now, it does look like Marvin is okay. But keep in mind that he grimaced a few times throughout the episode from the pain. Then keep in mind what happened to D-Mac on Force Season 2. After being shot at the end of Force Season 1, I think it was either the first or the second episode of Season 2, and D-Mac was right back in the hospital because the wound had gotten infected. So definitely be on the lookout to see if something similar happens with Marvin. Then as Rock, Kanan, Marvin, and Jukebox got to Rock's new house, Kanan exposed that it was his father who came up with the plan to pin everything on Crown Camacho. This left Marvin confused because DEFCON is dead. And it was at this point we saw how loyal Marvin actually is to his family. Rock told Marvin about her and Howard's relationship and that she'd been lying to everybody and keeping it a secret for all those years. And Marvin took it pretty well. This shows Marvin's loyalty and love for Rock. He didn't begin to question her about if she snitched on somebody, and he didn't even question her to see if she had something to do with him getting set up and going to prison. Maybe he didn't ask any of those hard questions because he didn't even want to know the truth about it. Keep in mind how Marvin feels about snitches. He could have let Tony D slide because she left town and didn't show up to court to testify against him. But he still had her smoked. Then when Lulu started running his mouth to Marvin about how Rock had Scrappy killed for no reason, Marvin still had Rock's back and said Scrappy was definitely up to something. Now keep in mind how Scrappy never came clean about getting arrested. And like I said last season, that within itself is a violation. Anytime I ever got jammed up, my plug was one of the first people to know. And I never even had a boss to report back to, so it makes Scrappy's situation even worse. So for Scrappy to keep it a secret that he got arrested, they definitely had a reason to think that Scrappy was up to something. But even at this point, Marvin could have gotten his feelings like Lou and told Lou that Rock had been lying to them for all those years and that Howard was Kanan's real dad. But he didn't. He was there for Lulu to vent to, but at the same time, he didn't join in on bashing Rock. Getting me to episode 2. The episode 2 trailer shows Marvin dressed up like a postal worker, about to give the news to somebody that their Christmas has been canceled. But the big question is, who is Marvin taking out? My guess would be that he's smoking Nicole Bingham's dad, and it's most likely at Rock's orders. Keep in mind at the end of season 2, Howard stirred up Mr. Bingham against Burke and tried pinning Nicole's death on her. But when Mr. Bingham tried talking to Jukebox about it, she wanted no parts in framing Detective Burke, but instead came clean and confessed to Mr. Bingham that Nicole stole the crack out of her backpack before walking out the diner, leaving Mr. Bingham confused. Now keep in mind Howard made Mr. Bingham promise not to give up his source. But after Burt getting killed and Jukebox telling Mr. Bingham the truth, what are the chances that Mr. Bingham will be back up to the police department feeling guilty and trying to clear Burke's name? Then Howard would hear about this, then send word to Rock, who would send Marvin to get his Reggie Jackson on. And Marvin has already smoked 2 people cleaning up Kanan's mess, the guy he made the back crack with, and Sam the crackhead. Again, showing how loyal to the family that Marvin is, because he didn't really want to smoke Sam the crackhead. And if I remember right, I think Marvin even might have had shed a tear when he smoked Sam. But my question is, if this is how it plays out, at what point are all these bodies that are dropping going to point back at Detective Howard? I even brought up Scrappy earlier in the video, and his blood is also on Howard. Also take into consideration all the death that is hit in Jukebox back to back. She barely finished grieving Nicole, then her mom gets killed, then a cop she cared about gets killed, and finally Nicole's father, who is always nice to Jukebox, gets killed. It's like OG Kanan said about Jukebox. It wasn't just one thing that made her so cold-blooded, but at the same time, Jukebox is loyal just like her father, Marvin. Keep in mind she knows all Rock's secrets and felt a way about Rock asking Kanan to kill Howard before she even knew that was Kanan's father. Yet Jukebox is still loyal to Rock after all that and tried to convince Kanan to give Rock one more chance. And I saw a lot of predictions yesterday about Juke killing Howard over Burke. But I don't think that's going to happen. I just don't think Juke was close enough with Burke to kill Kanan's father over her. Especially when she don't even know for sure that it was Howard who smoked Burke. Also, I've heard a lot of people say Howard will get Jukebox into the police academy. But I really doubt that happens either. Because we know from OG Power that Jukebox doesn't become a cop until after Kanan goes to prison. Then she moves to DC to become a cop, where she was a cop for around 10 years. So with that said, it will be very interesting to see what Jukebox will do with herself after school. Because we know she's not going to get into the drug game. And we just saw her meeting up with her guidance counselor because Juke only has about 2 months left before she graduates high school. And before I go, if it's not Mr. Bingham who Marvin smokes in episode 2, who would my second guest be? And that would be Marvin Smokes Sal Baselli. Sal met up with Stefano Marchetti in episode 1, and Stefano was very upset that Sal made a mess and got more attention from the police focused on him now. Now also keep in mind that Stefano will abduct Unique and Rock this episode and ask Rock to take somebody out for him. So there's definitely a chance that he is sending Rock after Sal Baselli, and Rock sends Marvin to finish the mess he started. And there you have it. Leave your thoughts, theories, and predictions in the comments.